There's a lot of talk about the new possibilities with tax rules that Congress and the Senate are currently arguing on. Um, Nothing's set in stone yet, but there are a few things. There's one thing in particular that may be set to expire that if it they don't talk anything about might show up again. My name is Paul Vázquez with Tax Lab. We want you, and you need to become an ethical millionaire. Talking about tax rules now, and so one of the Tax Cut and Job Act provisions, this was a big deal, and a lot of people don't seem to recall this, but there was a thing on a tax return called a personal exemption. Do you remember those? I don't think it's like, I almost feel like it's a Mandela effect, but it actually shows up in the historical record here that once upon a time there was a personal exemption. So you had a standard deduction, and then on top of that you got like 4,000 some dollars or 14. I think it was like 4,100 something. $25 per person in the household on top of the standard deduction. Now, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2019, well, actually, I guess beginning 2017, actually took away the personal exemption, but then increased the standard deduction. Now, there is only talk about increasing the standard deduction. I haven't heard anything yet about them keeping off the personal exemption or keeping that gone. Now, it might be that that's there. We don't really know if they're going to keep that off, but that's set to expire at the end of 2026. So if they don't make any adjustments to that, we could see not only these higher standard deductions that we've been getting that got bumped up to kind of include those personal exemptions, but we could also see the bump up in the standard deduction, but we could also see these personal exemptions coming back. That means per person in the household, you get an additional bump up. This is gonna be fantastic for larger families, because the more kids you have, the more personal exemption you have. So not only do you have that personal exemption if they're younger children, now you have the child tax credit that could help to bump that up again. And so you've got child tax credit. You could see personal exemptions back after 2026 if they don't, and they're not talking about it. So it's like either they're trying to keep it on the down low, or it might come back. You might be getting a personal exemption as well. Once again, I think this is great for families, and due to declining birth rates and things like that, we kind of want to incentivize people to have children and to keep the workforce going. It's great for the current population who are alive to be supported with Social Security and Medicare taxes by future generations. Not great for their wages, right? The less people who have to produce for an economy, the more valuable their labor and their time is. So there's a little bit of back and forth on how good it is if you're among the working class as to whether or not you want more laborers in the market, more people looking for jobs. That's different. That's kind of a different side of the coin, right? But having that personal exemption back, I think not having it there kind of really disincentivized people to have more children. And whatever argument you want to make on either end of that, ethically and morally, that's outside the scope of ethics in money and taxes, right? But it does, having that personal exemption should incentivize people to have more children, which when it comes to taxes is what the government should want to see are more taxpayers paying taxes in the future. And so that personal exemption, it kind of helps to encourage that. They've talked about this baby Trump money or whatever it is. If you have a baby, they're gonna give you $1,000 in a fund, and that's some great tax planning options there too if that comes out. But once again, these are all a lot of ifs, if this, if that. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. There could be a lot of good things. There could be some bad things out there. But I just haven't heard anybody talk about the personal exemption. There's been some talk about SALT, or that $10,000 limit being boosted to $20,000, which would be great for those who have a large amount of real estate holdings. Because that's the bulk of where that SALT tax comes in. There was some takeaways for itemized deductions as well when it come to the moving expense, the writing off different things for job that you could have written off. There was a change in alimony structure. So those things may go away. They may change them. But it's just surprising to me that there isn't much talk about the personal exemption, and maybe they're just going to keep it off of there. Maybe they just, it does simplify the tax returns a little bit, but there is kind of a tax incentive to having larger families when that's there. So, anyways. Couple foods for thought. What taxes or tax breaks would you like to see come back? Is there one they're not talking about that you're curious about? Let me know in the comments. And if you want a tax plan that doesn't rely on the whims of Congress, there are some things that continue on that we don't have to rely on necessarily. These rules that are under scrutiny right now, or under not solid. There's lots of other stuff that isn't going to change. It's going to keep on. So far, we can use those to our benefit with a tax plan. So we want to make sure we're not just creating reasons to save taxes, but if we have things going on in our life that if we just tweaked how we are managing that, we could increase our tax savings. Let's do that. But there are some times out there when you're so focused on saving taxes that it actually is less beneficial for you financially. So one example might be, I don't want to make more money because it'll boost up my tax bracket. Well, it's only going to boost up your tax bracket for that additional portion. And guess what? Even if it's at 35, 37, 39, whatever percent it's in, you get to keep the other part of that. The 60, the 61, or whatever it is. So, it's probably better to have a little bit more financial security than a little bit less. So there's some of that you could watch out for. We call it letting the tax tail wag the dog instead of the other way around. Well, once again, go to lab.tax, click on advisory services if you want a plan that is for you, your life, where you are right now. We'll put that into play regardless of these tax changes that are going to come. There's plenty out there that is not under dispute, and we can work with that. I wish you guys all the success.